Boo, you really gonna sit there? Welcome back. So this is another episode of my triathlon series where basically I am keeping a journal record of how I am training for my first Olympic triathlon. I'm so excited about this process, about this journey, about YouTube. I'm so excited. I'm in love with this. So I really hope that people are enjoying these videos. If you are, like, comment, and subscribe on the YouTube channel, because today I'm going to be addressing some of the questions that I get via text and Facebook that a lot of my friends are sending me. But it really boosts engagement if you do it in YouTube. So it would really mean the world to me, and it's a lot of fun for me to see that. Today, I basically made a new setup to be like an unproblematic Ellen DeGeneres, where I can answer some of the questions that I have been getting from friends and also talk about some of the things that I want to talk about but don't think I could make into a full video. So, here we go. First question that I've been getting a lot is, how are you doing it all? Because I'm training a lot more, because I'm like focused on the triathlon, making YouTube videos. I'm not doing everything. Really, I have dropped the ball quite a bit when it comes to hanging out with friends or family, putting in the effort for parties, which I really love doing, and I have been like starting again. But you know, you have to have priorities, and I have just decided that this is the priority for right now. And most of my training is done alone, but some of it is done with my friends or my partner. And when it comes to things that I want to do or want to try, a lot of my hobbies don't take up an exorbitant amount of time. So being able to bullet journal for an hour every week, or being able to read for a couple of hours a week. But I listen to a lot of audiobooks now for sure, because I can do that while I'm training. So in that way, some things are shifting or changing. Another question I have been getting a lot is, you seem happier now than I was this winter, or in some of my other videos. And that's not so much a question, but I did want to address it because I think there's two big reasons why I might seem happier on YouTube. The first reason is a literal change in the seasons. Going from a Minnesota winter where it's dark all the time, it is cold all the time, I don't want to get dressed, I don't want to get in a pool and get wet. I really struggle to shower, like get my hair wet in the winter, because I don't like feeling wet and cold. And if a third of my training is swimming, I was going to be wet and cold. I didn't have that positive of an attitude about training in the winter, but I knew I needed to start in the winter in order to build up the cardio and the stamina that I have now. So that's like a testament to, it's not just motivation, sometimes it's just putting a foot in front of the other and getting the job done. And maybe that was reflected in my attitude. The second is that when it comes to being able to put content out on the internet, I wasn't building up a lot of content, or like I wasn't taking videos of things because things were kind of gross, or I was inside in the basement. I was wearing sweatpants and sweatshirts every day. Like, it wasn't the vision that I had for content. So I wasn't as excited about putting it out. And these sit-down videos even, I love watching sit-down videos on YouTube, but it just felt forced. Whereas like today, I wanted to get ready. I wanted to make a little setup. I had things to talk about. So that's it. I will give a bonus third reason why I think my attitude has gotten a lot better is therapy. I don't know how much I'll talk about this on the internet, but I think it's a very valid thing to talk about, is mental health. And After my accident, I was dealing with quite a bit of, I don't even really know how to describe it, but my therapist diagnosed me with acute PTSD and depression because of my accident and some of the ramifications of it. Again, it was the winter too. It's just hard to get together with people and do all the fun things outside of the house sometimes. And I think all of those things together were contributing, but through months of therapy and getting back to some of the things that I love the most, it's been very freeing, lightening a load. So that's my bonus third reason. I seem happier because I am happier. Write that one down in my quote book. Next thing is also not so much of a question, but definitely a comment from quite a few of my friends, is that my sleep schedule has changed now because of the season change. In the winter, I would sleep from like 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. and then go on my merry way, starting my day in the dark. Now I like migrate my sleep schedule back, and I can go to bed at like 10 or 11, still wake up at 6, and I still feel very refreshed. In the winter, because it's dark, I'm done eating, I can't sit in front of a computer anymore, and I can't read in the dark because I will fall asleep. So that like cuts out, I can't start reading at 6 o'clock because it's dark and I would fall asleep then. I don't know. But this is a thing I really want to talk about. Nasal strips. Insert clips. Okay. So I started using nasal strips about a month ago. Just over 30 days actually. And life-changing. I get seasonal allergies that start as the snow is melting, and I also struggle with snoring when the seasons change, particularly because I cannot breathe out of my nose. And wearing the nasal strips has dramatically reduced my snoring and helps me sleep through the night. And I think it actually gives me a deeper sleep. So I don't know. There's actually a lot of like research on nasal strips, and I took some photos and videos just because I could, just because I'm doing this. But that's not really a premise for a video unless I like did a deep dive on research, which I am not gonna do. So my experience with nasal strips is literally a 10 out of 10. Do it, wear it, love them. No notes, no notes. When I sleep well, I just feel more human. I feel like I could conquer the world. The next thing that a lot of my friends have asked me about, and I think maybe this goes along with how am I doing it all, which again I'm not, is how am I structuring my week? Because I love a calendar. I love a calendar. I want to show you a mock-up of what my week looks like and how I structure my activities, because I love a good calendar and to show you is actually kind of fun. So I will pop this up on my screen. This is a mock-up of my calendar. Obviously this doesn't reflect my actual personal calendar, and obviously the non-negotiable is work. I work from 7:30 to 3:30 every day. Then I add in my other non-negotiables, which Eric and I have decided are a weekend potato day. That's usually Sundays. And our Saturdays we kind of hold for us to chill or to do a big bike ride. We definitely have to get our household stuff done on the weekends. And then time for either family or friends, kind of depending on the season or depending on holidays, depending on when friends are free, or if we plan things out far enough in advance. That's when we like to host a party or go to a friend's party or do the big stuff, obviously on the weekends. Monday as well is where I try to really focus on my mental health. So that looks like therapy, and more time reading or cleaning, anything that's gonna help me calm down. And every other week, Eric and I go on a date night on Wednesday, so that is always held. You can kind of see the pink is also highlighted there with the yellow because it's our non-negotiable and or biking. So the next thing is that biking is weather dependent. I don't schedule in rides because I don't hook my bike up to the trainer in the summer. When it comes to biking in the triathlon, I am extremely confident that I'll be able to do the 24 miles, and I know that over the next couple of months we're just gonna hone in on that, get out on some good long rides. I've already been riding on my TT bars, which was so fun. Then next is my swim. So I do have a fun project coming down the pike with swimming, but Sundays and Wednesdays are the 2 days a week that I block off for a morning swim. This is really good for me because it helps me decide when I'm going to wash my hair, which, like I said, in the winter is a big deal. In the summer, you're sweating so much, I just shower all the time. Next are runs. So Saturday mornings, some of my friends have been getting together for a run, which I've only done once, but it was so fun. I've decided to throw it on my calendar as a commitment on Saturday mornings. GoPro got too hot because I'm too hot. Aren't I funny? No, GoPro overheated because I was recording in 4K. So anyway, what I was talking about though was Tuesdays then are the day that I run, whether that's a short run just around my neighborhood or go to one of the lakes. Of course then, friends, usually just like a midweek. Love to hang out with friends after work. Sometimes that changes. Sometimes I see friends 2-3 times a week. Sometimes I see friends 4 or 5 times a week. Something I know about myself though, my calendar will never look like this. My calendar will never be totally full. But here then, I always plug in my stars for 5 days of mobility work, yoga, definitely sneak yoga in during work. It's not hard to do 15-20 minutes of stuff as a break, or to be laying on the floor doing PT during calls. Maybe I shouldn't put that on the internet, but hot take. If you're not taking work calls while doing other things, as long as you're not leading the call, isn't multitasking supposed to like help our brains? Anyway, this is kind of like my ideal calendar. Obviously things change. Obviously plans, parties, travel, it all kind of shifts. And I'm okay with that. I've really gotten used to letting the schedule be a guide instead of a, what's the word? Like a prison. Then the last thing that people have been asking me is, how am I eating? And I'm gonna be honest here. I eat very well. I eat great meals, very high protein, a lot of carbs. I did one little snippet of the tuna salad that I made this spring, but I have a little bit of an adverse reaction to making those like what I eat in a day videos. I also don't plate things super aesthetically. The environmentalists might hate us for this, but we do eat off of paper plates quite often. So I don't really know if I should make a video on what I eat, but I would be able to do it if people are interested. So this is another reason to leave a comment down below if you want to see any of my recipe ideas. Okay, and the last thing, I can't remember if I just said that the last thing was going to be the last thing, but that was the last thing that anybody's ever asked me. I will say a thing that I want to say just because I want to say it. And it's my channel, so I get to say that. I would be so interested in showing some other things that I'm doing in my life. I always make travel videos when I travel, but I don't know, I have a list of things that I would be really interested in talking about, but because I have kind of decided to put all of my energy into triathlon training, it makes a lot of sense to make videos on triathlon training. And I guess I'm interested to hear from folks if it'd be intriguing to watch any other videos, or if that's just self-indulgent and nobody would be interested in it. So, if you have thoughts, leave them in the comments below. I'm thinking things like my parties, our home projects, my bullet journal, or my reading, or just some of the other things that I love. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, friends, and I will catch you in the next one.